तो हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, आज हम आपके लिए एक नया चैप्टर लेकर के यहाँ पर आ गए हैं एंड द नेम ऑफ द चैप्टर इज फ्रिक्शन फॉर क्लास 8। वेरी कंफ्यूजिंग चैप्टर इट इज फॉर दोज स्टूडेंट्स who are studying in class 8. It is very confusing. Try to understand what I want to tell to you all. Friction, see, these are the parts what we will study here. These are the parts. Try to understand. So one by one we will discuss. One by one here now I will discuss. What are the things? See all of you. Yes, thank you. First of all, I will commence this class with the definition of friction. So what is the definition? Friction is defined as a force that opposes the motion of a body moving. Since we are talking about motion, so it must be moving object. So now I am going to discuss about the factors affecting friction. But one more thing is there, cause of friction. Many times this question is asked, cause of friction. Very important answer it is for you, and question is cause of friction. Cause of friction. Cause of friction is irregularities. Irregularities clear, found on a surface. Not even a single surface in this universe is friction free. Clear? So everywhere we find out friction. Now after that, factors affecting friction. But before knowing about factors affecting friction, we should understand about the types of friction. What is types of friction? Types of friction. Types of friction. See, number one, static friction. Number one, static friction. Number second, limiting friction. Second. Number three, sliding friction. And number four, rolling friction. See, rolling friction. So after knowing these all the types, now I am going to discuss these types of frictions one by one. See all of you, what is this? Let us erase it. मिटा दे इसको, पहले इंतजार करिए थोड़ा. गुड. स्टैटिक फ्रिक्शन. Force of friction, see, FF, force of friction. A force of friction, that is FF, is defined as static friction as long as the body remains at rest. It's a variable. Static friction becomes always variable. Clear? Then after limiting friction, maximum value of static friction, is called limiting friction. See, maximum value of static friction is called limiting friction. अब जैसे कि मान लीजिए कि आप एक बॉडी को रखे हुए हो अपने पास, एक बॉडी को आप रखे हुए हो और आप उस पर एक फोर्स लगा रहे हो और बॉडी मान लेते हैं कि मूव नहीं कर रहा है। उसके बाद हम उस बॉडी पर और फोर्स लगाते जाएंगे, बढ़ाते जाएंगे, और इफ यू आर यूजिंग ए स्प्रिंग बैलेंस देन इट्स द बेस्ट. Ultimately the body will come in the condition to move, just to move. So that value will be the maximum value of static friction, and that value is known as the limiting friction. So try to understand limiting friction. Sometimes its coefficient is indicated as mu L, but it is not for you. After knowing about limiting friction, sliding friction. Sliding friction is recorded. Sliding friction is recorded by the spring balance, when the body moves on the surface. The body moves on the surface with uniform motion. What is uniform motion? You know, you have studied in class 7 and its graph also. Now after rolling friction, force of friction offered by the surface on the object when the body rolls on it, and its value is to be the least value. Clear? Least value. So it is least value. So after knowing about these all the things, now we will discuss something about factors affecting friction. So what are the factors on which friction depends? What are the factors on which friction depends? So see all of you, what are the factors? Number 1, weight of the object. Keeping in mind that keeping in mind that the nature of surface remains the same, because force of friction is directly proportional to normal reaction. However, if you are able to understand it, then understand, otherwise no need to understand. Force of friction is directly proportional to normal reaction. Force of friction is equal to mu n. Sometimes we use in the modern science, in the modern physics, force of friction is indicated by capital R. So force of friction is equal to mu r, this is proportional constant. Mu is equal to force of friction divided by r. And if you see, then this r is to be equal and opposite of mg. That's why I have told that force of friction depends on weight of the object. But you remember, number second, force of friction is to be independent of the nature of the surface, area in contact. Try to understand. Force of friction is to be independent of area in contact, provided that the nature of the surface should remain the same. As for example, suppose you have this block, clear, and you are pulling this object towards you from right to left, clear. So suppose if it is wooden block, if it is wooden block, means to say that nature of the surface is wooden. So you record the value of what? Force of friction in this case, and now you change the area in contact, nature will remain the same. Suppose now this body is something like this, in this way. So what will happen? Now you pull it. So here it is also wooden block. It is also wooden block. So in this case and in this case, if the nature is the same, so there will not any change in the force of friction recorded by the spring balance. Here it is spring balance, I haven't made it. So force of friction offered by the surface is to be independent of area in contact, provided that the nature of the surface should remain the same. Friction is a necessary evil. As you know that without friction we cannot walk. Without friction we cannot walk. Without friction the vehicles cannot move on the surface. So friction is a necessary evil. Increasing and reducing friction. How can we increase and reduce the friction? If you make the surface rough, then the friction will increase. You see the tire of a vehicle, it has grooves on its surface. In that way, the force of friction between the road and the surface of the tire increases. So in this way we can increase the force of friction between the tires of the vehicle as well as the surface of the road. And we can reduce the value of friction also by using lubricants. Suppose कि आपके पास कोई device है. Suppose we have a machine. We put sometimes oils, grease, so that what happens? It reduces the friction and the efficiency of the machine increases. Then after, wheels reduce friction. It is very clear that really wheels reduce friction, because wheels remain always in this way. So here this is only somehow the point on the surface of the tire. It has very less contact in area to the surface. That's why it will be least recorded force of friction, and it is rolling friction. Rolling friction. Try to understand. Rolling friction. Then after fluid friction, before studying about fluid friction, I am going to discuss something more related to what these are the things that why limiting friction is to be slightly less than that of static friction. Why limiting friction why limiting friction is little less than that of the static friction. However, its comparison is little bit ludicrous according to me. What should be actually that the value of limiting friction is to be slightly less than that of the sliding friction, but in your syllabus it compares with static friction. Reason, as you know, the reason is irregularities on the surface. Irregularities. However, if you want to its answer in very good concept, then comment me in the mobile. I will tell to you. Comment in the comment box. I will give your answer that what is the actually real reason. But here I am not going to discuss about it. Then after, sometimes it is asked in the examination that we have static friction, limiting friction, static friction, limiting friction, sliding friction, and finally rolling friction. As you can understand that what's are its value of these all the frictions: static friction, limiting friction, sliding friction, rolling friction. This friction is to be the least, this friction is to be the most. Try to understand. Then after, suppose you are writing here 1, 2, 3 and 4. Suppose you are writing 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. And you are asked, you give its answer in the comment box that arrange these all the frictions. However, I have written it in a maintained way. You arrange these all the frictions either in ascending order value or in descending order value. These are 1, 2, 3 and 4. Give its answer in the comment box. Then after I will see and I will give its answer to you all. So then after, finally, fluid friction. See all of you, fluid friction is also known as drag. So there are many things you have to study in fluid friction, like what is a streamline shaped body, and what is the reason that it offers least force of friction over its surface. So try to understand all of you fluid friction. And fluid friction means to say that friction offered by a body on the surface or on its surface by the fluid. This fluid means to say that it may be liquid or gas. So, in order to overcome the drag, we make the shape of the bullet train like streamlined shape. Clear? Streamlined shape. So that it should have minimum drag over its surface. Suppose you see the aeroplane, you see the rocket, many things are there. The shape of the boats, the shape of the ships, the shape of the birds, many examples are there. Streamline shaped body. So, these are the facts related to fluid friction. Despite that, if you have any problem to ask related to any these topics question, you give the question in the comment box. I will reply it. So thank you all of you. Keep watching on my video. I am giving the best materials to you as far as it is possible from my side. So thank you all of you. I am trying to increase my quality as far as the quality of the board and the writing nature are concerned. So thank you all of you.